don't know why these are some of the quirks. I have no idea. A great amount of mind to try to figure that out, and they can't. I'm not trying. What?
You realize?
Yeah.
I can just take a scan.
Yeah. I was gonna do it. I'll put it in the house.
Do you know which page we're on?
I think we finished.
I click on this page.
I think so. Yeah. Take a couple shots.
This is the most changing life. Actually crazy.
Yeah.
No way we're getting through 3 pages, are we?
No. Sure.
Just in case.
Yeah. Okay. Take it anyway.
Josh, what page?
Kuf, then
What is it?
Vav.
Kuf, then Vav.
That's the same link that you put the other guns on. Okay. Oh. No, that's
We begin by thanking the Glock family for sponsoring the Lidui Nishmas, Shainul, Miriam and Zev, and Sham Shalaliyah, for functionally Simcha Nachas and Bracha, and also the Parnes HaShana sponsoring the Nishmas of Gdalya and Reb Shimon, and Sham Shalaliyahs. Okay, we began appropriately. We began the Maimar and Simcha last day of Shabbos, and we're on page Kuf Mem Vav, Bayom Darkecha, and the Maimar begins with the famous lashon of Rabbi Nachman of Simcha, Mitzvah Gedolios B'Simcha Tamid, Mitzvah Gedolios B'Simcha Tamid. And the question is, what is the nature of this mitzvah? The Torah doesn't tell us of such a mitzvah. We don't see anything in the Torah that there's a mitzvah Gedolios B'Simcha. We find in the Darkecha that there are very, very terrible consequences in the life of a person, Chalila, who does not serve Hashem B'Simcha. But we don't find a mitzvah by Simcha. We don't find B'chlal by the Midas. We don't see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands us directly when it comes to Midas, and that brings us to a very famous teaching of Rabbi Chaim Vital, we were talking about at the end last week, where the Midas themselves are the prerequisite to being a person who's a hachit to get a mitzvah. If you're not a human being, then the mitzvahs don't work. I mean, you might be able to put on film, you might be able to keep Shabbos, but we were learning in the note at the end last week that Shlomo Melech has very strong words for a Jew who's not a person, nevertheless goes through the motions of keeping the mitzvahs, as Nezem Zahav Ba'av Chazir, like a pig that's wearing a golden ring. So the mitzvahs, Tefillin, Shabbos, Yantiv, everything, it's all gold. All the mitzvahs are gold. But if you're a chazir, you're not a person, so then it's a nezam zav, it's a gold ring in the nose of a pig. It's very strong, but the Shiur, the image is very clear what that is, and how Chazal say that when a person is learning Torah, when a person is keeping mitzvahs, then it's a samchaim. There's nothing greater than that. But if Chalila, it's not a person, then not only is not a samchaim, but the mitzvahs themselves can turn the person into somebody who's the opposite of a tzaddik. So that's what we were learning at the end last week. And let's continue. On page Kuf Mem Vav. There was a little bit left of the note, but we don't have to finish the note because the middle of the right-hand column, but our say the same. Each one of us is made of the four yesodas, the four basic elements of creation: Aish, Mayim, Ruach, and Afar, fire, water, wind, and earth. But he was learned Tanya, and that was at the beginning. The Rabbi speaks about this and bases really his whole discussion leading up to the Avodah of the Beinoni by dissecting the internal makeup of what a person is, of these elements, and how each element corresponds to different midas and nefesh. So, for instance, Yesod HaOfer is all from Rabbi Chaim Vital. From the Yesod of earth is midas ha'atzvus, atzvus and atzvus, the heaviness of sadness, the heaviness that brings to laziness. That's all from the Yesod of earth, of Afar. V'havchi ha'simcha ha'tadius b'chelko. And the tikkun of that, the opposite of that, is simcha, is joy. Tichol da'arden min shmai latav. A person who lives with the feeling that every single thing in his life is latav, is tov, is good. It's the opposite of the person who is weighed down with the yesod with the Yesod HaOfer, where everything has this feeling of being negative and bad and hard and heavy. So maybe we understand what Rabbi Nachman was talking about when he said that Simcha is a mitzvah gadol. It's a great mitzvah. Because a person who's besimcha is a person who sees in every single thing that he does in his life, he sees that everything is tov, everything is good. He has an ayin tov and everything in his life, and that's the shorish and the yesod to being a person who not only keeps mitzvahs, but keeps the mitzvahs for the reason that they were given, which is to be dovuk HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to be good and kind to other people. The question of why is it called mitzvah, and it's not in the Tayag mitzvahs, that's a separate discussion. He mentions that on the bottom, Reish Lamed Hey. What does it mean, mitzvah, the lashon of mitzvah? Hala ain't a mitzvah, meaning Tayag mitzvahs. So that's not really a kasha. There are many hanhagas tayvas and many other things that Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to do that don't necessarily end up being for different reasons that the Rishonim and the Acharonim talk about. They don't end up being on the list of the 630 mitzvahs. But that doesn't mean it's not the Ratzon Hashem. Hashem has expressed to us many ritzanos that He has of us. It doesn't necessarily mean that every single thing that Kodesh Baruch Hu wants of a person is on the list of the 630 mitzvahs, because there are criteria that are necessary. The Rambam holds like this, the Ramban holds like that, the Bahag and the Smak and all of the Rishonim have different mahalchim of what's included on the 613 mitzvahs. So it doesn't. So if you're talking about dayin eich efshel because a mitzvah, ain't a mitzvah meaning tag mitzvahs. That should be shafshe simcha ain't a meaning a mitzvah. We come efshel call as a mitzvah ki rotzna Hashem yisbarach mihaladam. Rotzna Hashem yisbarach mihaladam. That's what Hashem wants of us. Chol davar shu rotzna Hashem yisbarach efshel hagdiro kemitzvah. And anything that Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to do, and any rotzna that He has of us can be defined as a mitzvah. So why did Rabbi Nachman call this mitzvah gedola? Because not only does Hashem want this, but this is a yesod to everything else that He wants of us. That we should be people who have these midas and who are balei simcha. So sherish the Dvarim Rabbim. Therefore, he calls it a mitzvah gedola. So what is this simcha? Beis, page Kuf Mem Vav. V'ini hagdoris mahusa shel hasimcha. This whole sugi of simcha really is almost impossible to understand without learning the Maharal. But the Maharal defines simcha. What is that? What is that regesh, that feeling of simcha? Where does that come from? What is simcha? We're talking about simcha, not fun, not pleasure, not excitement, all that chitzonius. What's simcha? Real simcha comes from a feeling of shleimus, of wholeness, a feeling of shleimus. Hagashas shleimus kolosh namaral. V'hinei b'olam hazeh ein shleimus. This is a world that is imperfect. Shleimus means perfection and wholeness. But this is a world of imperfection. So Achashverosh is only willing to offer Esther Malka Chatzi HaMalchus, half the Malchus. This world doesn't offer a full shleimus, even though it has all kinds of fancy parties that can last for 180 days, and there are people that they party for more than 180 days. But it's only at Chatzi HaMalchus. This is not a world of shleimus. Oz Yimale Schreik Pino. Oz, when Mashiach comes, Yimale Schreik Pino. This world is not a world of shleimus. Olam Hazeh Ein Shleimus. Lo Beruchnius, not in Ruchnius. Bevadei Shal Begashmius, and certainly not when it comes to Gashmius. But the other rule is, Yesh Leimoni Rotzam Asam. You have 100, you want 200. You're never satisfied. But even in Ruchnius, it's not a world of shleimus. And that's the real reason why Many people do not feel a feeling of simcha, and if they have occasional moments of simcha, they don't feel consistent simcha in their lives. And there are many people that are in a place of atzos, of sadness. It's because they are pained by the imperfection of their lives. However they define and understand imperfection. But that lack of shleimus, that feeling of being lo shalem, of being chaser, of missing, takes away the simcha of life. Each person, according to his or her expectations and definitions of what shleimus means. Me'ata yesh lehizbayna. So we have to try to understand. Eich yuchel ha'adam she'ein lo shleimus. How's it possible for a person in this world who cannot achieve shleimus, who cannot experience shleimus? This is all Kehelis is about. And we learn Kehelis by Zman Simchaseinu. That's one of the great questions of the Svarim and the whole Yontiv of Sukkot, which is Zman Simchaseinu. And Davka, the whole Sefer of Kehelis, is about Chisaron, about Muvus, La Yichaliskan, that the emptiness, the Chisaronis of this world, Ein Chodesh Tachas Hashemesh, how under the sun in this world there is no Shleimus. And yet, in this very same Sefer Kehelis, he says at the end, Ein Lokim L'Smach, during the Sefer, that all one can do in this world is L'Smach. So what does that mean? The whole Sefer is about how there is no Simcha, there is no Shleimus, there is no Simcha. And we learn Kehelis by Zman Simchaseinu. So of course the pessimists say, well, Zman Simchaseinu, we don't want you to run away with all of that joy, so you should learn Kehelis just to bring you back. There's that darker way of looking at things. But in Pneumius, we need to understand what this is about. I've spoken about it many times over the years. How could it be? Look, everybody has different times where a person feels ma'at shleimus. But think of the words ma'at shleimus. Doesn't really go together, right? What does it mean? Ma'at shleimus. Shleimus mishleimus. A little bit of shleimus. What does that mean? A little bit of shleimus. Shleimus is shleimus. It's ma'at shleimus. A little bit of shleimus. A little bit of shleimus means that there's something is chaser. It's only a little bit of shleimus. So, kein magish ma'at shleimus, but a sense of a feeling of it being possible, of the possibility of shleimus. I think that would probably be a more accurate way of describing it. If I feel binyanim gashmim, even in binyanim gashmim, he gets a promotion, gets a raise, gets a bonus, something in gashmias, whatever, and he feels ma'at shleimus. Bemis, the simcha that he feels, bemis tiknu alzeh v'cheshech yanu. So we appreciate that, and even when it comes to buying something, a new suit or something, so you make a shech yanu. And we're grateful, and we try to take in that experience of ma'at shleimus. But of course, to get a shmata, this piece of clothing that's ma'at shleimus. I remember that when I was at that time I was probably just maybe 7 or 8 years old. So we lived in an apartment building in Queens, and next door to us, there was a family that were going next door to us, and the boy's name was Bobby. So I played with him a little bit. I wasn't allowed to go into the apartment. He would come to us a little bit, but we would play together. And I remember that one time I never went into the apartment, but I walked with him. He was in the hallway, and they opened the door, and I saw that he had in in his apartment, he had this like train set, like a big train thing going around on a track. And from that moment, I became absolutely crazy to get a train. Now, it sounds nowadays like something that's a Kleinigkeit, but the kids own their own yachts and airplanes and things, but real. So, but this was like, it moved on its own. It was something amazing. And I remember I made my parents with this Indian so crazy with this. And, to get a train. And eventually my mother capitulated. We were in Alexander's and at Forest Hills, and she gave in, and I got the train. I think I played with it for like an hour. And I remember even as a kid, I was thinking about like, Havel Havalim Omar Kahelas. Because I felt like the loisachma that I had with that train. And then but I remember thinking, and my father was so good. He never said to me like, he didn't give me like a shtach. Because he put it together, the whole thing, my father. He put it together, this whole thing. It wasn't like the guy had, it was like, that was the whole living room. But my father, had this train thing. My father put it together, and the batteries, I was all excited, and had the option of plugging it in. I remember, maybe an hour. It was nothing. And the whole world is like that. So you make it, you make a shachion on a suit. It's ma'at shleimus for it. You feel it for a little bit. That's this whole world. So he says, "Omnam ein zeh simcha sheroshes." That's when you get something in this world. It's not a simcha that reaches the sherish of who you are. Shemachzika maimed. It doesn't last. It doesn't last. K'yadua. For instance, beged chodesh, you get a new suit. Kashem esvaglam, you get used to it. Kvar ein simcha mimenu. So, what do you have? What does it mean, ma'at shleimus? Because you didn't have a suit. Now you have a suit. Or the other stuff was old, and you had a new suit. So you had a chisaron. And now the chisaron of missing the suit was filled. So that's it. The nimshach rak kolzman shemagish is a chisaron v'sashlamah. So that will only last as long as you feel the chisaron. And the hashlam of the chisaron, that's for a very short time. If it's just something very, very big, you get a new house, it could be a little bit longer, but it's only a passing thing. So once you get used to it, you don't feel the simcha. Back on top, so how's it possible? Since this is not a world of shleimus, at best we're talking about chatzi hamalchus. So, how is a person supposed to feel simcha? There's no shleimus. So the definition of simcha is shleimus. Vatshuvahi, she'amnam ha'adam yitzad atzmo. The answer is that it's true. Ha'adam yitzad atzmo. If you're looking for that simcha, yitzad atzmacha, to come from within yourself, and because of yourself, and what you have or you don't have in life, what you experience in life, Kshulavado, Ein lo shleimus, there's no shleimus. That's called Tachas HaShemesh, under the sun. And that's what Shlomo Melech is talking about. There's no shleimus. If the Yor Mishanichnas Adam Arba Simcha depends upon gathering together. There are certain things you only get on Purim, like those rolls that have little chocolate in it. You know what I'm talking about? They're like these things that they have chocolate in. They get in a box. That on Purim, you get 100 of them. The rest of the year, like where are they? The whole year, these chocolate rolls, but it's a popular item, and there are a lot of these other Purim dika things. And if your Simchas Purim depends upon a drink, or some extra chocolate, or a rikud, so it's sad. It's pathetic. That's what the Simchas Avodah and the Simchas Purim depends on, because all of that is ein lo shleimus. And Jews have an expression that Purim is only one day of the year, and that's a very, very, very Jewish Golistic expression. To say that, in other words, where did that come from? How did that start? What Jews would say, there's an expression where it came from, because because Golus is miserable, and there was one day when Jews were able to forget Golus, and even the poorest Jews, Kolaposhid Yad, on Purim, he was a rich man, right? Even Tevye had a good Purim, so because everybody gave him something on Purim, every Jew had on Purim something, but but then you had the day after Purim, and this poor husband and the wife are sitting there with nothing, and they already finished up whatever they had for Purim. And they look at each other and they say, no, not every day is Purim. And that's a very, very sad description of this world. As Purim is a main Olam Haba, even higher than main Olam Haba something. But then, Nach Purim, there's such an expression of Nach Purim, after Purim, which means everything without Mashiach. It's called Nach Purim, after Purim. All of that, Kshulavada Ein Lo Shleimus. Avol yesh b'olam shleimus amitis, and this is what Shlomo Melech was talking about. And Chazal make it very clear when Chazal taught and teach us to understand Koheles in the right way. Tachas Hashemesh there isn't, but l'malam Hashemesh there is. Avol yesh b'olam shleimus amitis, achas v'yichida vi Hashemesh bar. Hashemesh bar gave us the yicholos, the ability to surrender ourselves to Him, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Ein Sof, is Ein Sof, is infinite. And Oz v'chedva b'mkamo. And when you are on His team, not just by officially signing up and keeping mitzvahs, that's great, but when you're connected to Him and bound to Him, a person is able to feel shleimus v'simcha. Even there we understand, of course, that the shleimus of that, because of the confusion and the manias of the guf and how hard it is to sustain that's not going to be till Mashiach comes because we can't hold on to that ein od milvado. It's very hard. You can't. It's very, very hard. Tzaddikim, they're able to live mamish in the other world, in this world, but for regular people, it's very hard to hold on to that Dveikus B'Hashem and to live every moment in that place of Dveikus B'Hashem. Because for that you have to erase Amalek. And it's not easy to get rid of every single Amalek. You look what's going on. Just trying to get rid of every Hamasnik. It's very hard to get rid of every trace of Amalek in your life. And that presence of Amalek means that you could be run to Hashem also, but then there's the Vishav of not being able to hold on to that, and the Haman that's inside. So that's why it says Yismach Yisov V'Oisav. Chazal point out when it says Yismach is in the future tense. Then the Jewish people will rejoice in Hashem. It's a sad way of putting it instead of the present, but the ultimate simcha is even Bashem. Is lost of love because of Amalek. Those tzaddikim who have erased Amalek in this world, they live. If you ever saw Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, tzaddikim that they lived in that place before Mashiach. But Aish is chaber love yismach, so ikke mitzvahs asimcha, and that's the ikke mitzvah of simcha. All of the Yom Tovim and Shabbos, all the other things are hechetimtzes to bring us to Dveikus B'Hashem. What the tachlis is v'samach nafsheni b'yeshua sech. Ze'ike mitzvahs hasimcha l'samach b'Hashem yisbarach. I mean, the suit is not the Yeshua, and there's nothing in this world that can bring a person to that. There's only v'samach nafsheni b'yeshua sech. Moshe Kosiv Yismach Yisrael B'Yosav, and Togel Nafshi Belokai. It says Togel Nafshi Belokai. My soul can rejoice Belokai in my God, not just Belokim, in Belokai. When I have that relationship with Him, that He's Elokai. Zek Keli, Zek Keli. Hashem is my God. Zek Keli. Togel Nafshi Belokai. When you double touch, finally Kanis L'Simcha. Aish Lanos Hashem as well. L'smoach al kach she'Hashem Yisbarach talmidi manu. To have the simcha of feeling, of recognizing that constant presence of Hashem. B'chol mokum b'chol matzav. Everywhere, in every matzav. V'yizbainin v'yagish. To think about this and to feel Eich Hashem Yisbarach she'ein od mavado. Hashem she'ein od mavado. Shahakol biyodo. Nimtze ima v'chol eis. Is with you every single moment. Eino mavado, hakol biyodo, everything is him. From him. Nimtze ima v'chol eis. The Shomer love. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching over you, not the senator from New York. V'ayisi ima rak toiv. And everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is l'toiv. V'noisnol kol tzarko, and whatever you need, Hashem gives you. And we make every single day bracha shosli kol tzarki. Even though, again, we could be talking about that poor couple sitting someplace, in a hovel. He says they say the same bracha shosli kol tzarki, because this is exactly what I need because of Hashem's baruch. I could ask Hashem that if I be worthy, and you could see to give me something in addition to this life, things that I have in my life, I would appreciate it. But only you know that it's the tayvasi anischis. But we say the bracha every morning shosli kol tzarki. That if this is what I need, you gave me what I need. So it's possible even for that poor couple to feel the simcha of shleimus. Bashem. That's the only way it's possible, is Bashem. Look at Reish Lamed Zayin. Marshal. L'adam she'aviv oshia gadol ma'id. You have a person whose father is very wealthy. He was also an expert doctor of every single field. And a chacham b'chol hachachmas. And also very strong. In other words, there's no such thing in the world like this with a human father. But a father, imagine there'd be such a thing that there's a father that you could depend upon for everything. This kid would be simcha. There'd be a shleimus musuyemes because his father is good for everything. Of course, it's just an impossible marshal, but the nimshal is that we do have that. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's not a human being. Back on top. The simcha here doesn't mean the simcha that you're necessarily jumping around and I'm not talking here about the just the happiness that the way that it's understood on the street. There's a roiga otzum. There's a certain calm. There's a certain tranquility that this person feels. So maybe roiga otzum. Umachnas the simcha amitis v'shalva pnimis. Simcha amitis and shalva pnimis. So when we were younger, we felt that the Simchas Purim is as much as you were able to drive around and jump and to barge into people's refrigerators and to make a whole tumult, which is all the fun of growing up with Purim. And then you find yourself older and you have some bacha that comes into your house, or the bacha comes to your house, and they start shaking you around like a lulav, right? It's Hashem, we're looking forward to this on Purim. They start shaking you around and they're wondering why you're not besimcha. And the two of them are holding each other. You have the bacha that's jumping up and down and going crazy. And you have the older person that's smiling and holding him and dancing with him. Who's more besimcha? Simcha is not measured by how high you can jump, by how much you can drink and laugh and carry on. When a person has a simcha pnim, not that that's not a good thing for them, they should enjoy themselves, but this simcha pnim is that really is more, who are you when you're sober, not when you're drunk. And the rega odsum, the calmness, the sweetness of that shalva pnimis, of an inner tranquility of this life of a person who has a connection to Gdalya ha'emunah v'bitachon. When a person's life is filled with emunah and bitachon. Shakol Hashem Yisbarach Oisel L'Toiv Gemura. Hakol Hashem Yisbarach Oisel L'Toiv Gemura. That everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is good. Toiv Gemura, absolute good. And to live with that belief. Shakol Hashem Yisbarach Oisel L'Toiv Gemura. Shul Yisbarach Yochel L'Hashlam Losses Hakol, and everything is in Hashem's hands. Adam Yochel L'Smach B'Emes. That a person is able to have simcha b'emes. Look at Reish Lameches. V'zash Kosev V'sev Reish Chachma. Shai de bitochen b'tfili yochel iskos l'simcha b'lokus. When a person believes in his davening, that doesn't mean he believes that everything comes that he wants, but he believes in his davening, he can be zochel l'simcha b'lokus, the joy in Hashem. K'misha roga b'tfila v'dovek b'emunah b'bitochen shai tfila parelis. A person who believes that davening really means something, that davening really works, even though you can't necessarily see the results, you don't always see the results of that in the way in Gashmis. Zoichem emilu l'simcha b'lokim chai. Chachma says he's zoichet the simcha b'lokim chai. Zoich shetishvelav menuchas emes. Menuchas emes. This person lives in a state of menuchas emes, true peacefulness and tranquility. Menuchas emes. Back on top, Zuhi haderech hayichida. This is the only way. Zuhi haderech hayichida. Lagia l'simcha mitis is l'smoch b'metzius Hashem Yisbarach u'bekir ve'ela. L'smoch b'metzius Hashem Yisbarach, closeness u'bekir ve'ela. Reish Lametes. L'simcha b'Hashem Yisbarach efshali kanis b'har b'yafon. There are many ways to come into this, to enter into this world of simcha b'Hashem Yisbarach. And each time is the Fi'ayinyan. When the Fred Mad, he says, we'll talk about it a little bit, but really, the whole Sefer is about that. Of course, Bittul and Dveikus, that's how you come into Simcha. By letting go of the search for, of the expectation to find Simcha within yourself, from yourself, and from all the things that you have and the people that you know. But instead finding it in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Aleph, the small house has a chinul ma'ila hagdala b'yoseh sheyesh she'liyos bonav hahu of Hashem Yisbarach. The first thing is, as I spoke about yesterday, is that the simcha that you know, that you have the biggest chiyah in the world, that you're a Jew. That means that you're Hashem's child, liyos bonav hahu of Hashem Yisbarach, and that you're HaKadosh Baruch Hu's beloved child. There's chelek l'kamimah. That you are, each one of us is a chelik of kamimah. That's Aleph. Beis. B'chal zeh simcha letzam kach. Simcha on what? Letzam kach. Next page in the note. Sheyesh lanu abba gadol kazeh. The simcha of having such a father. Echad yachad miyuchad. She'ein klum chutz mimenu. Echad yachad yuchad. Ein klum chutz mimenu. There's nothing. Only Hashem. Gimel. And more than anything, that Kodesh Baruch Hu gave us the opportunity. He gave us he's begging us to connect to him. And to not just to connect, but to become part of him. And he gave us Torah mitzvahs. And therefore, if Yiddishkeit is not making you happy, it means it's not working for you. It means you're not in that place of connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yiddishkeit works, but it's done properly. He gave us the Torah. Shem Darkecha Chibur. Shem Darkecha Chibur Mizbach. Umeshanu Ayrim Baruch Elokeinu. We thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu that Chaye Olam, that He implanted eternal life, the other world inside of us. So each one of us has that ability to go to a place that's called L'malam HaShemesh, higher than the sun. We're not stuck Tachas HaShemesh. And when you're L'malam HaShemesh, you're able to have a powerful connection to that taste of Shleimus and the Simcha of Shleimus that comes with Vekas Vashem, which is still in this world is not the ultimate thing because of the reality of returning back to Tachas HaShemesh. It's very hard to stay in that place, L'mala min HaShemesh. Okay, on Kufman Ches on top, B'chol Pam, every time, B'chol Pam, She'etz HaHarba, Imachshavas Atzvus, anytime the Yetzer comes with thoughts of sadness, Tzarech Likanis Miyad, L'Amuna V'Simcha. You have to enter right away into Amuna and Simcha. Yishan La'atzma, to repeat over and over. Hashem Yisbarach iti kol hazman. Just because it's nach Purim, it's after Purim. Hashem Yisbarach iti kol hazman. Hashem Yisbarach is with me. Kol hazman. Always. Im yeshli is Hashem Yisbarach, yeshli hakol. And if I have Hashem Yisbarach, I have everything. Lo chos li dover. Nothing is lacking. Ki hu hakol. V'hakol tolui bo. Because he is everything, and everything is from him, and depends on him. When a person repeats this over and over, when you feel that atzva is creeping in, to repeat this over and over again. Memela move on. Memela it's understood. That simcha is not what most people think it is. Even people who learn Torah, they think that simcha is a milo. It's a madrega. That simcha is something that's like a bonus, something added to your life. No, it's alihimara kami yesh l'adam amun. Simcha is the measure of a person's faith. It's not a mila. It's not something which is extra. It's simcha is the most basic measure of a person's amun. And it proves how much a person believes b'yichud Hashem, not that Hashem exists, but in yichud Hashem, that everything is Hashem. And how much a person lives that truth and lives with that truth, that reality of Hashem. And it doesn't depend upon the conditions of life. Rich or poor, popular, not popular, married, single, COVID, not COVID. It doesn't depend upon the conditions and the circumstances of life. Because that's something that can never be taken from a person. I've mentioned over the years that I saw in a sefer such a thing years ago, that in one of the camps there was a Gerach Hasid, and it was Man Simcha Seinu, it was Sukkos, and he did something that the Germans in Maximum didn't like, so they took off all of his clothing, and they threw him into a pit that was filled with lime, with a chemical that burned him alive, to torture him. They killed him by throwing him into chemicals. And there was somebody who survived who saw this, another Jew survived and saw this, and said that this Gerach Hasid was naked in this pit, and the Germans were laughing. And he screamed out, he said, and the Gerach Hasid, the last thing he yelled out was that it's Man Simcha Seinu, it's Sukkos. So he said, the esrog is the heart. My heart is burning. That's what he said. He said, my eyes are the hadassim. They're on fire. My lips are the aromas. My entire body, call it Smaisei Tarmarnam, is the lulav. My back is the lulav. He says, you took everything from me, but you can't take yourself away from me. That's what he said, and that's how he died. Hashem, you took everything. I have nothing. He's naked, but I have you. And those are his last words. That's how he benched lulav. He benched lulav like that on Sukkos, 1943, whatever that was. That's how he benched lulav. So he's able to have his man simcha seinu to have a simcha in such a place. And we could sit in a sukkah that's got the fanciest decorations, and your lulav was came by Amazon or something, and everything in your life is gewaldig. And you're annoyed because like the Shabbos clock didn't work or something. can't believe I'm going to kill those guys after. Like church and Emily Imams go after him. Because the light went out an hour early, you see. I'm going to kill that guy after church. It's not, it doesn't have to do with anything else in this world. Because this world is not a world of simcha. The world itself doesn't work. And when a person's looking for the simcha in this world, it just doesn't work. That's where it comes from. It comes from Emunah. And then he's besimcha with everything, with anything that he has in his life, whatever it is that he's going through. He's happy with his life. Gimel. To the extent that a person enters into this simcha, which is true simcha, which is the simcha of Emunah. It's a simcha of Avodah and Arham Lebach Mordechai, which the Svarim HaKadoshim tell us that in life there are times that are called Arahaman. Things are horrible in life. That's called Arahaman. And then there are better days. Those better days are called Baruch Mordechai. A poor person is able to come to that place of Shar Hanun in Kedusha where there's Adliyah ben Arham Lebach Mordechai, that there's no chilik in his life. His life doesn't depend upon whether today was an Arahaman or Baruch Mordechai. Whether the good customer or the bad customer. It didn't make a difference to him. He's still able to be besimcha. Why? Because it's Adliyah ben Arham Lebach Mordechai. My life doesn't depend upon whether this is a moment of Arahaman that happened, or it's a Baruch Mordechai moment. It doesn't depend on that. Baruch Mordechai. That's called Simcha Shel Amunah. Simcha b'Hashem is Baruch. Kacha makabel koyach Kedusha. So now this person is a klei kibul. It's a tremendous kli to receive Kedusha and Shechina. And that's why we learned so much over the years about how we see that there's such a deep connection between Pagam Habris and Atzvus, sadness, and Pagam Habris. It's that world of Pagam Habris where a person is looking for some kind of a thrill for a second that comes with Pagam Habris, and it's all Atzvus and the sadness, the depression that comes with that. And you see that that whole world of Pagam Habris, of Hollywood, that whole world of what seems to be a world of Gashmis the Hatzlacha. Those are the saddest people in the world. And it's all a world filled with Pagam Habris and Niyuf and Znus and all that. And they're the saddest people in the world. It's the Atzvus and Pagam Habris, the opposite of Kedusha. He's the Hepech of Shleimus. Everything is a feeling of Chisara. People trying to fill that feeling of emptiness with different addictions, especially when it comes to the Tumah of Pagam Habris, to fill that emptiness with an addiction. Whatever that is, that somehow that's going to fill what's missing in my life. And it's all Atzvus. And the opposite of Kedusha. Ki Shechina in a Shayla b'Malkam Simcha. Hashem's Baruch doesn't enter into the Shechina. Because Baruch is everywhere. But the Shechina comes into a place with this Simcha. To a person who's besimcha. So that's the kli. When a person is besimcha, is a kli to Hashras HaShechina. And you're a kli for Hashras HaShechina.
Are we saying that the Pagam Habris is lack of Emunah?
It for sure is. It's connected. For sure, it's connected to that in a very deep way. But right now, we're talking about the simcha that comes with Emunah. But the shorish of the root of it is a lack of Emunah. Ulamasa ha'atzvus shorish akol ha'avanis achmar l'slam. Sadness, that's tachas shel avad shamakecha b'simcha. That's why it says in Teicha, because you have not served me with joy. He's not talking about jumping up and down and popping balloons. You haven't served me because you're a person of atzvus. So then all the averis that causes all Atzvus HaShorish is the root of all Averos Achmal. V'Hagerem is the call Hanefilus Sheyesh, is the cause of all the Nefilus the person goes through in life. It's the cause of all Nefilus. It's not the loss of money or even the loss of a person that you love. Chas v'shalom. That's not the loss. That's not the loss that is the cause of your nefilus and Yiddishkeit. That's not the loss. When a person's simcha comes from emunah and dvekus b'Hashem, so that chassid in the concentration camp was able to be in a place of simcha when he was being burned alive. It's not because of something that was taken from him. There isn't a person in this world that doesn't have things that are taken from him. Even the richest person. Look, the Trump, President Trump, former president, future president, I don't know what he is. This person, he has everything that in Gashmis that he had everything in Gashmis that a person could possibly want, but he lost the election, and he couldn't live with that. He couldn't live with it. You think the guy would just retire and take it easy, So just enjoy what you have. You're not young anymore. Just have a good time. I mean, however you define a good time without getting arrested or something. and he can't, because ze chaser li. What's chaser? Can you imagine the presidency is chaser? This is chaser. It's like Haman sitting and Mordechai is not Kerem Shtacheve, Kol Zen and Shavu. Kolzman. Mordechai HaYehudi is Kol Zen and Shavu. So you could see like Donald Trump looking over all of his properties, all of the things that he has in this world, and all of the wives and girlfriends that he has, and all this stuff. And he says, Kol Zen and Shavu, as long as Biden is not Kerem Shtacheve. And it's the same with all of them. It says, and in a shovel is just gunish word. It's worth nothing to me. Such a strong lotion. Say it's worth something? Nothing. Because Haman was the richest person, besides he was the richest person in the world. And he says, Kol zeh, Rov banav v'kinyonav, ein a shovel. It's worth nothing. He didn't say, I could do better. He says, in a shovel, it's worth nothing. Why? Because there's an Alti Yid over here that's not mechabed me. So that's it. So you look at everything you have, right? Banav v'kinyonav, everything, ain't a shovel. It's nothing. So where's the simcha of Reb Haman? You can't have any simcha in your life. Yeah, look at this. You have such wealth and such children, cheshivas, and everything. Anything you want, you have in the world is ein shovel. Every single person has that Mordechai that's not Karei Mishtachim. Whatever that is, that's chaser lecha. Chaser lecha. Chaser lecha. Look how many people will be in a place that's a marriage or a place or a shul, in a friendship that's rive is good, and he walks away from it. Walks away from it. There was a guy many years ago that davened here for a little bit, and then he left, and I remember that when he was here, it was like a few Shabbos a long time ago, and he came over to say hello, and he loves it. He was telling me how Friday night he was involved, he loves that. That was nice. So I said, it's so nice to hear that. Anyway, I hadn't seen him in many years. I met him in the country once, some years ago, and I asked him, how you doing? He was trying first to run, a little bit to. I saw him. I said, how are you? I haven't seen. I said, I'm not taking your attention. Don't worry. I don't care. I'm sure you're doubting. They get nervous. That Aish Kodesh is not surviving without his membership or something. So I said, yeah. How you doing? So I didn't ask him why he left. I don't care. But he felt he needed to tell me that, someplace where we were in South Wolfsburg or wherever. He felt he needed to tell me. So he said. So he told me that he didn't feel that there were a few that people didn't say good Shabbos to him or something. Somebody didn't say good Shabbos, didn't welcome him, and I don't know. I said, I can't take responsibility. I find it to be generally very friendly people, but maybe you were looking for from this person, that person, something happened. Maybe that person had a hard day. I don't know what it was. But this, see here, I said, I'm sorry, I hope you're happy where you are. But usually these people go around a lot.
Yeah.
But I said, but I was thinking, how the guy was telling me that he never had such a Friday night davening, and he was so excited, and everything, and all of that I didn't shovel. Why? It wasn't worth it to him, because this year didn't say to him, not he didn't say good Shabbos, he didn't say enough of I don't know what he was looking for. He didn't say enough of a good Shabbos. And because of that, you walked away from something. And we do that all the time. We walk away from good things. Because it's not because of the Metzias that we walk away. It's because there's something inside of us that's broken. We don't have that connection. And it's a world without Emunah. When you're living in a world of Emunah, Kol Zeh Shaveli, everything is Gevaldi. Kol Zeh Shaveli, everything is Gevaldi. In the world of Emunah, Kol Zeh Shaveli. In the world without Emunah, Kol Zeh En Shaveli. And it makes no difference. But you can blame all of your sadness on the misfortunes of your life. But there are people that have been through much worse things than any of us, and they're besimcha. How do you explain that? Clearly, it has nothing to do with which party is running the country. It has to do with who you are and where you're holding in your emunah. As Hashem will have a lift to give Ferlich and Purim and a Ferlich and Noch Purim.
Amen.